Hey, welcome back to Lakers News Fan Report. Listen closely, because this is one of those moments where you can feel the direction of the Los Angeles Lakers change in real time. I'm not talking about a fantasy blockbuster with 3 all-stars in one trade and Photoshop jerseys on social media. I'm talking about something way more focused and way more intentional. Inside the building, the conversation has turned toward a specific type of player. A type the champs always seem to have, and we keep trying to rent for a few months every year. Tough, switchable, smart, zero ego, will take a charge on one end and then make the extra pass on the other. The kind of guy who doesn't light up the graphic but wins you Game 5 on the road. And I'm telling you straight, that profile has a name for the Lakers right now, and that name is Bruce Brown. Before I tell you why that matters, let me make something clear. This isn't random gossip. This isn't me throwing out a random role player just to sound different. The Lakers have been circling Bruce Brown for a long time, and that alone tells you exactly how Rob Pelinka and the coaching staff want this roster to function around Luka Doncic and LeBron James this season. Before camp, through camp, all the way up to now. People around the team keep coming back to the same idea. Add one more winning adult on the wing who can guard the ball at the point of attack so Luka doesn't have to. Who can live in the gaps when LeBron is off the floor? And who doesn't panic in late clock chaos? Bruce Brown keeps checking every single one of those boxes. Let's rewind because the story with Bruce Brown and the Lakers didn't start this week. It goes back to the period where he was in Toronto and the Raptors were openly listening. Toronto had him on that big, flexible number, more than $20 million for the season, which made him basically a walking trade machine. The Raptors were motivated to move him, because at that point, he was basically a plug-and-play asset left over from the Pascal Siakam deal, and they were looking for depth and picks instead of paying him long-term. Multiple outlets at the time reported that the Lakers were one of the teams calling. And the structure of the talks tells you everything about how serious LA was. The frame looks something like this. Send out mid-sized contracts like Rui Hachimura. Gabe Vincent, maybe Jared Vanderbilt, maybe a young guard. Stack that money so it matched Bruce Brown's number. And attach draft compensation to convince Toronto to say yes. The logic from the Lakers side was simple. You're not going star for star there. You're not mortgaging the entire future. You're cashing in a couple of rotation pieces and betting on a playoff grown-up who already proved on the biggest possible stage in Denver's title run that he can guard up, guard down, handle, cut, rebound, hit timely threes, and keep his head when the arena is melting. The Raptors, for their part, knew exactly what they had. Brown wasn't just salary filler. He was leverage. A lot of people around the league expected him to move before the deadline because of that number. That's how real it got. The Lakers were not just loosely monitoring. They were in it. And it wasn't only hunger for another name. It was a direct answer to a basketball problem we all saw with our own eyes. Last year, and honestly the year before that too, the same weakness kept killing us. Guards getting downhill on the first step, forcing help, kicking out, and suddenly we're in scramble mode for 18 straight seconds. We've seen it. Luka having to absorb a big body for 25 possessions in a row. LeBron at 40 years old still trying to rotate like it's 2013, bigs getting dragged into space. And the whole defense bending just enough for the other team to build rhythm. You can't survive 4 rounds like that. The front office knows that. That's why Bruce Brown matters in this conversation more than some hypothetical superstar who may or may not even be available. Brown is built for that exact possession you keep replaying in your head from the second quarter when we couldn't get a stop. He actually wants to take the first hit from the other team's hottest guard. He actually wants to live in the mid-post with a bigger wing and just absorb the bump. He will fight over a screen, recover, stun at the nail, rotate down to tag the roller, and still be the first guy to push the ball back up the floor when we get the rebound. That's not empty hustle. That's championship DNA. We watched him do all of that in Denver on a team that lifted the trophy. We know it scales to June. When you've got Luka Doncic, that kind of piece is not optional. It's mandatory. Luka is the engine now. You don't make the kind of move the Lakers just made, flipping the franchise, sending out Anthony Davis and committing to Luka with real years and real money. Unless you are ready to build the entire identity of the team around his game. Luka is the heliocenter. He's the system. He's the timeline. The organization literally extended him and said, "You're not just renting LA. You're the future of LA for the second half of this decade." And they backed it with a massive extension that ties him here through 2028. That is not cheap, and that is not short term. That is a declaration. So once you accept that, you have to protect him. You have to insulate him. You have to give him bodies around him that allow him to stay fresh enough to decide games offensively without having to take the toughest defensive matchup on every single possession in January. In February and late May, when everyone else's legs are gone. That's where Bruce Brown fits perfectly. On offense, Brown is exactly the kind of connector Luka loves. He screens like a small big. He slips out fast. He can short roll. He can find the corner shooter or hit that little floater if the big commits. That lets Luka run the clock, read two defenders at once, and punish whichever one hesitates. And when Luka gives the ball up, Brown doesn't freeze. He cuts. He relocates. He goes to the dunker spot. He lives in those in-between spaces that turn a broken possession into an easy two. Coaches love guys like that because it keeps a superstar locked in mentally. Stars stay emotionally engaged when the supporting cast plays with their brain and not just their ego. You feel that watching Luka already with certain guys. That little nod like, "Yeah, you saw what I saw." Brown gives you that. Now layer in LeBron James. LeBron is still on the floor manipulating tempo, picking mismatches, and punishing switches with strength that shouldn't even be legal for a human his age. But he is also human. He can't be the emergency bandage for every leak anymore. You can't just say, "Don't worry, LeBron will fix it," for 82 games plus playoffs. That's reckless. What the Lakers are trying to do right now is take that responsibility and hand pieces of it to players who will happily live in the dirty work. Brown is literally that job description. You throw him on whoever is cooking. You say, "Slow that guy down. Make him hate life. Make him have to think about you every dribble." And Brown will do it without killing the spacing or stopping the ball on offense. That combination is exactly why the Lakers were willing to talk real assets with Toronto. And yes, assets matter here because under the new CBA, the Lakers are living in a world with almost no middle ground. Either you go all in for a megastar and you torch half your depth in 6 years of picks, or you find undervalued, playoff-ready role guys who let your stars breathe. In the past, the Lakers chased the first path. Now, with Luka locked in, with LeBron still elite, with guys like Marcus Smart and Mark Williams and DeAndre Ayton brought in to balance out different parts of the roster and give this team structure, you can feel the philosophy tilting toward the second path. Reports around the league in September said the Lakers are fine using future. First, that stretch into the next decade if the player they're getting back actually fits next to. The core that's here now and can stay on the floor past 2026. That is a huge tell. That means we're done pretending short rentals solve everything. We're in long window mode. Bruce Brown checks that box too, because he's not a 35-year-old vet trying to squeeze one last ring. He's in his prime, still athletic, still nasty. The front office sees that and says, "This is worth serious capital." And that's why you keep hearing his name come up even after that first wave of talks with Toronto cooled off. Toronto eventually pivoted into a different lane. They started flipping pieces. They got aggressive. And Brown's contract helped open the door for them to chase a high-level wing scorer and retool fast. That right there tells you what the rest of the league thinks of his value. He wasn't treated like some throw-in. He was treated like a lever that could move an all-star. After that, Brown bounced again, landed in another situation, And in this offseason, just a few weeks ago, he had the freedom to choose his next stop. Here's the part that really confirms the Lakers' thinking, even with all the chaos. Even after he'd already been moved around the map, multiple reports say the Lakers were still in the mix trying to convince him to come to LA on a deal that would have made him basically the fourth grown-up behind Luka, LeBron, and whoever is holding down the five that night. The Phoenix Suns were in it too. And what did Bruce Brown do? He went back to Denver on a short, affordable contract, betting on continuity, betting on a system he already knows, betting on the organization where he already won a ring. That's not a rejection of the Lakers. That's a veteran making a comfort choice with a contender he trusts because he already has jewelry there. But the important detail, if you're a Lakers fan, is this: we were at the table. We weren't just Twitter shopping. We were actually in the room. And that tells you the pursuit was real, and it wasn't just a rumor cooked up for engagement. You don't keep chasing the same role player across multiple teams, across multiple transaction windows, unless he solves a need you consider urgent. And the need is urgent. Everybody in the West is hunting mismatches, especially against Luka. Everybody's going to force him into space, run him through screens, try to wear him down so that in the fourth quarter, he's playing offense on tired legs. If you hand that assignment to Bruce Brown for long stretches, suddenly Luka can save juice for shot making and playmaking late, which is literally the difference between winning and losing close playoff games. That's why this whole thing matters for us way more than another loud rumor about some superstar swap that probably isn't even legal under the cap. It's because the Lakers are telling you with their actions that they know exactly what they're missing, and they're actively trying to buy it. Let me say something else, because this is where a lot of fans get heated. People ask, why would you give up guys like Rui Hachimura or Jard, Vanderbilt, or draft picks for a player who doesn't average 25 a night? Here's the answer. Postseason basketball is not about who can get 25. It's about who can stop the other teams. 25 from becoming 40. We already have guys who can score. Luka can bend a defense whenever he wants. LeBron can still knife into the paint and punish a switch if a smaller wing tries to live on his hip. We've got shooting, we've got size, and we've got secondary creators who can finish plays. What we don't have enough of, not for 4 rounds, is that cold-blooded perimeter firefighter who can survive on an island without sending the whole defense into emergency rotation mode. Bruce Brown is known around the league for volunteering for that job. That is why the Lakers keep coming back to him. At this point, I want to bring you in because you're part of this. Drop your take right now in the comments while you're listening. Is Bruce Brown that missing piece? Or do you think the team should hold those contracts and those picks for somebody bigger, somebody with more name value? I'm actually curious where Lakers fans land on that, because you can feel a split. You've got people who are addicted to the Blockbuster, and you've got people who just want guys who know how to win ugly in May. Where are you? And while you're answering that, make sure you're subscribed and make sure you've got alerts on. Because this channel is going to be the spot where we talk honestly about what the Lakers are actually doing, not just what goes viral on social. I'm here every day riding with you through this season because this window is real. We are living in a Luka plus LeBron era that nobody in the league wanted to admit could even exist. And now it's on the floor, and the front office is clearly in win-now mode and future-proof mode at the same time. That's rare. That's aggressive. That's exactly what you begged this organization to do for years. Stop being reactive. Start being intentional. So here's where I land after talking to people and looking at how this roster is being shaped. The Lakers going after Bruce Brown, first with Toronto when his number was big and movable, and the Raptors were motivated. Then again later, even after he'd been rerouted. And then again when he was choosing his next stop. Tells me this front office is done playing cute. They're trying to build a playoff defense that protects Luka, stretches LeBron's career, and covers those long dead minutes in a series where the entire season is hanging by a thread. If they eventually find a way to bring in Bruce Brown or a player in that exact mold, A low-maintenance two-way enforcer on the wing who accepts his role and executes it like a professional. That's the kind of move that doesn't break headlines on day 1 but ends up deciding game 6 on day 40. And if they strike out on Bruce Brown specifically, that obsession still matters because it tells you what kind of body type, what kind of mentality, what kind of contract profile they're going shopping for next. In other words, this isn't noise. This is the clearest signal we've had in a long time that the Lakers are trying to win with structure instead of just hope. I'm going to close with this, and I want you to answer me in the comments below. Because I read everything. Do you trust this vision? Do you believe in this idea of surrounding Luka and LeBron with rugged, playoff-tested role players like Bruce Brown, even if it costs rotation guys you like and a future first? Or do you still want the front office to swing on a huge headline move and pray the chemistry figures itself out later? Let me know. I'll give you my answer. I think this is finally the adult version of the Lakers. I think going after Bruce Brown, even if he chose a different jersey for now, is proof the team understands what actually wins in June. And if that mindset holds, if that urgency stays real, then this season becomes about more than highlights. It becomes about banners. Stick with me. Subscribe to Lakers News Fan Report. Hit the like. Share this with another Laker fan who pretends to be calm but is actually refreshing trade alerts nonstop. And keep talking to me in the comments because this is our team and this is our window. And I'll be right here every single time this front office moves.